Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hi, Dan and Eric Hoffend. Welcome back to Savvy Broadcasting. The audience doesn't know this, but we had a slight mishap and we had to do a do-over, but I'm so grateful you guys could come here today. You're the Gets It Guys. I love the title of your website, getsitguys.com. So if anyone wants to go check it out after the interview. And we're going to talk today about your book, Who Gets It? How to Find, Motivate, and Retain Top Talent. Oh boy, there we go, boys and girls. And you know, as business owners, a lot of our audience is business owners. And that's one of the biggest problems I hear from business owners. How do I retain and keep my top talent? They've gotten out of the box. They're so phenomenal. We don't want to lose them. But then a little bit down the line, they go off somewhere else. We don't want that to happen. As we talked about when we first had our conversation, how hard it is once you get a top talent to retain them and how much it costs to get, you know, to train the new staff. Yeah.
Oh, right on, Christina. Yeah. It's definitely an issue for sure.
Oh my God. So share how you came together to starting your book and creating your book and working together. How did that all come about?
Well, we were in a family business in the trade show industry. We produced trade shows. And so we'd find ourselves at new cities, new locations, and know no one, and have hundreds sometimes of union employees standing in front of us, ready to go, ready to move this thing in 3 or 4 days. Yeah. And we had to find people that got it. People that get it and understand how to get things done. And so we'd talk to them quickly. We'd watch their body language as they walk in. And this is all in a 15 or so minute period. We have to really move through talent really fast. And we started utilizing, as we grew our business, to the same type of thing. You really try to look for those people that get it. They understand how to problem solve, how to take things, how to motivate people, how to get things done in a short period of time and efficiently.
And along the way, we determined that it was about 1 out of 10 that was a gets it person. And then, and to test that, when you go to a restaurant, or you go out somewhere, think consciously about yourself, about your server, and you'll find like 1 out of 10 really is exceptional. Like they're the gets it person. And on the other end of the spectrum, we found that 1 out of 10 didn't get it. And we defined it and we talked about what those traits and characteristics are. And that was the foundation of our bell curve. So we had 1 out of 10 on the left side doesn't get it. And as you move up the bell curve, the next level is doesn't care. It's a little bit better than doesn't get it, but it's not that much. There's a few more there. Then the largest zone is what we call the comfort zone. And that's people that are doing good work. It's the majority of your workforce. They're coming in, doing their job, and they're going home. And there's nothing wrong with that. But they're not the next level, which is engaged or energized, excuse me. Yeah. And energized is when you start a job for the first time or you come out of college and you're just ready to go and go get it. And remember that energized feeling. And then as you push to the final of the 5 zones is gets it. You're a problem solver. You're taking risks. You're doing things to enhance your brand and represent yourself and your company well.
Yeah. And, you know, you could start as a gets it person and really be excited and being a star employee and then sometimes drop off. How does that come about that happens?
Well, that's a great example. See, we believe there's movement up and down this curve at all times, sometimes daily, weekly, monthly. So a great manager is going to monitor what's happening with their team at all times. So they're ahead of the game. We talked earlier about, you know, motivating or how do you retain the talent? Well, you retain them by keeping in great communication. So you understand where they are on the curve. Have they fallen? Have they lost an account and they fell into don't care anymore? They just don't care about their job. So let's bring them back up. Let's assign them a new account and motivate them back up the curve to energize and possibly back to gets it. So sometimes you'll find talent in the zone that looks like they've dropped down, but in the actuality, everybody's moving based on what's happening in their life and their business organization.
Yeah. So what is the first questions that business owners need to ask when they maybe see an employee that was a gets it employee, but starts to move down that ladder? What can they do to start moving them back up?
Empathy, number one, is what we promote with leadership. Good leadership is getting to know your employees and asking them those questions. Hey, instead of accusing them of having bad numbers and something's wrong here, get a little deeper. Use your emotional intelligence. Use empathy to say, hey, how are you performing? You seem to be in doesn't care mode right now with regards to this particular aspect of your job. Maybe it's sales, maybe it's working with other departments, whatever it might be. You're conflicting with other departments. You're kind of this doesn't care mode, versus the current vernacular is in a rating scale, you're a 2. You tell someone they're a 2 out of 5, you're in for a fight, right? No matter what it is. An employee evaluation, right? Versus our vernacular is a lot softer, a little more emotionally intelligent, saying, hey, you're in doesn't care. And most times people say, you know what? I really am. I just don't care. I don't care for that person, or I'm just not engaged in my sales. I did lose a big account. I'm in the gutter. Hey, how did you get that big account? Let's go back in time and learn, what did you do to get where you were when you did win that account? Well, I did my research and I did this and that. Let's reinvent that. Let's go back. Let's improve that process. It takes a lot of coaching and helping and empathy to get people back up. And when you ask people, for help, hugely important.
Yeah. Even being a little vulnerable as the manager, if I ask an employee for help, or delegate something, and they trust me, they feel great about it. It's a motivator versus, oh, I'm so busy, you don't know what I have to deal with, and woe is me. And the person sitting there saying, why doesn't he delegate?
I'll just do it myself because it's just faster that way. I'll just do it myself.
Yeah, you get the sense that he doesn't trust you and that you don't feel that he believes in you, and it's going to come across in the work.
Turn that person that doesn't care mode into the person they were when they joined the company, and they should have been an energized. And we always say, if you didn't hire someone in the energized, you hired the wrong person.
Yeah,
you blew it.
Yes.
So get that person back in the mindset that they were when they started there. What were they like, and what would they were so gung ho.
Yeah,
get that energy back.
Yeah, and what I'm wondering, because I remember a company I worked with, they had done a whole redo of all the management. So I had started with a group of managers and, CEO, whatever, top C-suite peeps. And they got all new peeps. And then they did a review of us 2 months later. And I'd always gotten like B plus, A, like really pretty up there. They rated us A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever, like back in school. And the new woman had just started, gave me a C-. I was like, and all I could think is, but what are you talking about? I'm awesome. Aren't I awesome? Why am I not awesome? So it was just like totally. And then I got to that I don't care mode, because I was like, well, why bother? And so you could.
You know what, Christina? Everybody goes up and down this curve. If you sit here and say, I'm always against a person, I'm always, driving, you're not. Things happen in your life. Yeah. And so if you have a boss or someone that understands, even a peer or a mentor, someone that understands what you're going through, they can help you through it because they've been there before. They've all been there before. I've been in don't care before. I've been in doesn't get it. You get to a place where you're creating havoc on your brand. You don't get it. You've got to get out of that quick. Yeah. Somebody's got to help you get out of it, or you're going to leave. And like you said, you lose great talent, and it costs you a lot of money to replace people.
And a lot of times you'll have people that don't get it or even don't care, that'll pull that majority, which is in comfort zone, those good workers with their toxic behavior and their negative attitudes. If you don't fix it, they'll start to pull those comfort zone people into doesn't care. And that can be really dangerous.
Yeah, that will just damage the whole culture. I could totally see. Now, you had mentioned when you were at these trade shows that you could make a quick assessment who would be good talent and not. I'm curious, because I had heard in a talk a while back that you could tell by someone's presenting themselves in 4 seconds. Is that true?
It is true. Maybe not 4, maybe it's 12, maybe it's 3. But it's true. You can tell just the way somebody approaches you, and when you approach a group of people and they're preparing to start work and they're kind of just looking around and who's going to tell me what to do, or is it somebody moves forward and engages you and says, hey, can I help? What's going on? Or what are we doing today? Or what's the project today? What show is this? Or whatever it might be. And we're like, in that industry, we were like a concert. You had only a finite amount of time to move this thing in and move it out with a whole bunch of strangers looking at you in the face. We really learned fast how to, look at those cues.
You could look by who's got the tools, who doesn't have tools. And you look and go, okay, that guy has a crystal clean toolbox. He's on time. He's presented himself well. He's not drinking a cup of coffee. He's attentive. He's ready to go. Like all of a sudden you're like, that person gets it. Look at that guy over there, and give Dan a little nudge, like, hey. And then the guy's sleeping still, like waiting for the things to start, sleeping on a chair.
Yeah.
It doesn't get it, So there you go. That's like, look for the obvious first, and then the middle is a little harder.
So I think they were extreme back then when we were doing that kind of work. It was sort of extreme. And then as we managed hundreds of people through our careers, you realize that there's different versions of that same type of mentality, and you can move people, you can motivate people.
Motivate. I love the motivating because, it's interesting. And we talked earlier how important it is when you get someone that if you have to lose them, it's going to cost a lot to train them. So it behooves all of management and business owners to figure out how to motivate their top talent. How do they begin to do that? Let's say they start to see some of their top talent not looking so rosy or happy. What are some of the ways they can start to motivate their crew?
There's self-motivating. Hey, I can motivate myself. There's team motivation, and there's community motivation, like the whole community. What can I do to bring these groups of people together to move this business forward? And what we found is there's a rebound effect. If I motivate someone, I feel good. It motivates me back. And so as we explain that to people, they realize as I motivate this person to try to help them to do better at their job or position, or train them, or talk to them about a training process that we're involved in, whatever it might be, if I can provide a jump, I feel good too. So why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you do that?
But the easy tactical stuff is to support Dan's comment there is recognition. I think it's number one. It actually means more to most people than money does. And money is a simple one, but money only lasts for so long. And the big mistake that a lot of managers make is they give the money and then they start to dump more on behind it, right? Instead of then you didn't give the money for the right reason. Then this person wants to take a job somewhere else. I'll throw some money at them. Great, they'll come back. Now I'm going to dump. I'll show them. That's a doesn't get it manager. And it happens a lot, as you can imagine. And title, change of title. And when you change a title, it's a big step. It's a big jump. Milk that thing for all it's worth, right?
Right.
Push it out on internal media, congratulations to so-and-so. Put it in the news. Push that out there. Every time that person sees their name and their new title, they feel good. They're getting energized. You can milk that thing for months.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes managers don't do that. They just give the title and then they walk away.
This is so imperative that people really get this because no, it's true. I just heard a talk today where someone was doing I think it was a TED talk, and they were mentioning how she's a boss, owns a company, and she had given her star employee a raise. She was so excited. She's moving money about. She's like, I'm so excited. I took her out to lunch. I couldn't wait to tell her I'm going to give her some money. And she's like, so Sarah, you've done such a great job. I want to thank you by giving you a raise and a increase in your salary. And she said, okay, thanks. And she's like, whoa, wait. She felt really bummed. Like, wait a second, why is she not jumping for joy? She should be excited. So she went home and she thought about it. She's like, well, maybe that's not what's important to her. So she called her back in. She said, I gave you a raise because I really wanted to show my appreciation, but you didn't seem too happy. What would make you happy in this, in this organization? And she said, well, I've been looking to move into management. I'd like to explore that. And so let's do it. And so so that was just such a great story, implementing what you're talking about.
Great example. And, really, that's one of the, another motivator that's really important is a career path discussion. Surprisingly enough, very few career path discussions are done out there in a way that it's consistent, not once a year at a review time. We're talking like every month or so, like, hey, what makes you tick? What Eric said earlier, a little empathy. What are you trying to accomplish? What are your objectives? Maybe I can create something that you'll be able to follow in the path that I took. Is it management? That's what I went to management from this area of business. So this is how I took the steps to get there. So you outline the steps. Now you're on the same page of that motivation process.
And along the way, you're doing training. Here's management training. There's lots of stuff online. Go to a class, whatever it might be. Now they feel engaged. They feel empowered. They're committed to that company because they're investing in that person and they're constantly energizing that person up the curve. So they're always on the edge of, in the comfort zone, we call it motivated or on the brink of energized. So you're right on the edge and you'll have brief moments of gets it. They'll get to a gets it point and all of a sudden they'll solve a problem and they'll do some great work. And you keep that person on the upper, 15% of the performance curve.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned that bring that to the table, your career path. Because one of my bosses a long time ago, I thought I want to be, I said to my boss, and I was so arrogant in my 20s, I'm like, I want your job. And he's like CEO or something. He's like, yeah, you're a little bit far from this job. But I had said that. And then he called me in. This is before my review. And he said, you're doing great work, but I heard you mention that you eventually want to move to C-suite. But let me give you some tips that, you kind of don't dress the part of a leader. A leader needs to dress the part. It's not just the clothes you wear, it's the way you present yourself. And so he gave me a whole, like what you just laid it out, what it would look like if I were walking in as CEO. You have to just be that. And so when he laid it out for me, for one, I was a little taken back that I wasn't looking the part already, but also empowered because now I had some ideas of what I could do to actually be that part. You're
right. A candid conversation from someone you trust and admire, even if they're not your boss, could be just a mentor. But that candidacy is so important in helping to support a person to high performance. Absolutely has to happen. And if you can't accept that criticism, that's your issue, not the boss's issue. That's your issue. You need to look in yourself and say, this person legitimately wants to see me grow. I need to listen to them.
Yeah.
And the second area of critical thinking that we talk about in our book, in addition to our bell curve, is what we call our CPL diagram. And it stands for culture, policy, and logic. And that's how we define companies that get it or don't get it. And it starts in the center of our CPL diagram with our culture. And we select core values within that organization. And the core values that you say that you have, are they represented in your policy that you have that is acceptable to the general public?
Because on the outer rim, the logic part, that's the general public. That's the community that's going to voice their concerns or their praises. Yeah. So especially nowadays, it's the voice is huge. So that logic is going to say that doesn't make sense, or that does make sense based on your core values. That makes a lot of sense. That policy looks like you're trying to help support your customer service area, or your core values are all about customer service, but yet you have 15 surcharges to get my bag from LA to Toronto, bag charges. So, which is it that you're going to be? And you need to stand firm with that.
Yeah.
And if your core value is, customers first or customer service is number one, are you really relaying that? And then when you are engaging with a particular customer and they fail to have good customer service, you go back and say, you failed the CPL diagram, you failed the test. Yeah. So we constantly challenging companies. Yeah. Are you a Gets It company or not? A Gets It company we love is Trader Joe's, and it's in the book. And Trader Joe's core value, one of them is being the neighborhood grocery store. And their people are engaging, they laugh, they have fun. You feel like it's a pleasure to go to shop at Trader Joe's. It really is.
Yeah, they really, really do get it. And I love that because there's been places I've been at or worked with where there's like customer service, but they don't give that same attention to their employees. So they'll say to their employees, go out there and give the best customer service, but then they'll dump on the employees. And the employees are the front line to your customers. So if you dump on them, it's going to be really hard for them to give exceptional service to your customers.
Yeah, when you see some of these policies, you just want to go into the company and say, who is the person that did this policy? Like, I want to find them, because this makes no sense whatsoever logically. All these penalties and surcharges that you're hitting me with, or there's claims that you're making that really aren't true. And you see it so often. And so many people, especially in many industries, but so many people will have these discussions with customer service over and over and over again. And what will the upper echelon C-suite say when they hear those things? Oh yeah, we always hear that, but this is a revenue generator, the extra charges on baggage, so we don't want to lose that. Well, Southwest doesn't do it, and they seem to be doing fine. So there are other ideas out there, and idea generation is the way to improve your customer service or your core values to match up with your policies.
Absolutely. Well, we could go on forever because you guys have such exceptional insights, but I don't want us to leave without everyone finding out how they can get their very own copy of Who Gets It. Where do they get a copy? Oh, they get a copy at Amazon, and you can also visit our website, getsitguys.com. I love it. Follow us LinkedIn. We've got great videos we put out. We have a Keg Talk series where we talk about distressing issues like returning from a COVID.
how to get people who are taking unemployment, getting people who are taking unemployment are in total doesn't care. And it's going to take you a sledgehammer to get them out of it.
That's interesting. I want to just end with that. How do we get people motivated off their couches when they're getting a paycheck and they don't have to work? Because I've heard some people say to me, well, I could just, they have a job, but they're saying maybe I should just give it up and sit on my couch and watch Netflix. Yeah. I'm like, no. So I'd love to hear your ideas.
Be the employer of choice. Mm-hmm. Be true to your core values. Mm. Have career path, everything we've talked, career path discussions.
Awesome. The other thing too is
join us.
Some of those people you may not want.
That's true.
You may not want them. Right? They might be.
Stay on your couch. That's right.
Right. Stay on your couch. Be there. That's all okay. Stay with your dog. It's all right.
Well, I for one get very bored just sitting around doing nothing. So I'm not one of those peeps. But I thank you both so much, Dan and Eric, for coming today to share your great wisdom on Savvy Broadcasting. Thank you.
Well, you're awesome. We're big fans of your show.
And Christina, tell me, you said when we talked last that you had a nickname for yourself that was very close to Gets It person. You said I was the problem solver.
I'm the make it happen gal.
Make it happen. That's it. So you're a Gets It person for sure.
You are making it happen.
Well, that's what they say at a number of the companies I work with when they have issues. Or you're the make it happen gal. I was like, I love that title.
That's it.
And you are.
Well, everyone, please go to getsitguys.com and get their book today and find out more. And thank you so much, Dan and Eric, for coming to Savvy Broadcasting.
Like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.